That's our broccoli casserole. Broccoli, cheese, got some other vegetables in it. I'm going to enjoy it. Wish you could enjoy it with me. We're going to show you how we make this soon. So watch to the end and you'll get to see it come out of the oven. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hello, I'm Phil and I'm an amateur cook. It's one of my hobbies. Today we're going to make a broccoli casserole. There's some broccoli. We'll talk about broccoli a little bit later. Got some other vegetables that are going in here. Got to get red pepper, get a little bit of a yellow pepper. Going to leave the green pepper out, but we need an onion. And I've got some other vegetables in here, so I'll get over here in a minute and show you some of the other ingredients that we're going to use. Okay, now you can see our ingredients laying out there. First thing you see over here is the broccoli, and we got the peppers, and we got a carrot, and we got some celery in there, and of course the onion, and I'll get some garlic here in a few minutes. And then up there we see we have coconut milk, we have some broccoli cheese soup, we have some mayonnaise, we have a little sour cream, and we have some of the rice we made the last video. That's basmati rice there. And that one jar is just vegetable bouillon. I put a little bit in there. You see a couple eggs. And you see the goldfish here that we're going to use. That's going to be our topping. And over here we have several different types of cheeses. We have some grated cheese. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. And down here is some Romano and Parmesan, and this is something I get over at the store across the street. They call it cheese ends, and it's a blend of cheeses. They whack that off, and I buy it because it's affordable and it tastes pretty good. It's something I use in a lot of dishes because I eat a lot of cheese. I don't eat much meat, eat a little poultry, eat a little bit of fish, but I don't get into the other stuff, so I get a lot of my protein through cheeses and beans and a few other things that we'll talk about later. So that's it for now. We're going to start getting this ready for you, and we're going to put it in the oven a little bit later. Bye-bye. Okay, now we're ready to start cutting things up. I've already cleaned off the bad parts of the carrot. Now I never trim my carrots much. I just use the old brush here on it and takes the whiskers off of it. But we're going to start with the broccoli, and I think the first thing, I usually cut this off. And some of these things are kind of tough to eat, so we'll get them whacked off there. And then we're going to start cutting the florets. Broccoli, as you may know, is a cruciferous fruit, or vegetable I should say. It's in the cauliflower family. And one of the things about it is it's loaded with compounds that are believed to protect against cancer. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm an old guy and I've never got cancer yet. So I'm going to keep eating broccoli, whatever it does. Now, usually I cut this down a little bit so it's a little bit smaller. Cut these bits into bite-sized pieces. What we're going to do with these is we're going to steam them before we actually cook them. There's a nice leaf. Now the fun part here, let's see if we can get some florets off of there. There's another big hunk, but we'll whack these off. Okay, I'm back. I've got all the vegetables cut up. Well, you've been waiting. And I'm starting here to saute some onions and a little bit of garlic, and I'm going to steam the vegetables before we put them in our casserole dish. I'll show you what we're doing here. I've already taken a little bit of bouillon out of here. This is plain vegetable bouillon. I put it in this pan. I'm going to drop in my little basket here, and I'm going to put the vegetables in. Now I'm putting the carrots and the broccoli stems in first because it takes a little bit longer to steam them. I can see the steam starting to come out, so we'll put the lid on that. Let you take a look at what we've got over here in just a second. And we're proceeding fairly well, so I'll be just back in a jiffy. Okay, I need to adjust that camera a little bit so you can see what's down in here. I've got these onions going pretty well, as you can see. They've got some olive oil in there first. We started sauteing them olive oil, and I put some garlic in. I wish you could smell that garlic. I don't know how well you like garlic or not, but there's not much I cook without garlic in it. Garlic, I found, is very helpful. It's good for the blood, it's good for the system. And if you're going to be with somebody else that doesn't like garlic, I guess they're in tough luck. But we've got the onions down here. I'm going to close this off. Over here, I've got the pan going pretty well. It's about time now to drop in our celery. I can feel the steam coming off of that. And I'm not going to put the broccoli in there till right toward the end. The florets, because they go pretty fast, and we want them a little bit al dente, I guess we'd call it, instead of too soft in the dish. So the next thing I'm going to do is to switch positions and go over here to the bowl and start dumping some things in the bowl to make our liquids that we're going to put down into the casserole dish with the vegetables. So just a moment and we'll be on the other side of the kitchen. It isn't very far. Now I made it to the other side of the kitchen, over here to where we're going to fill our bowl, and we're going to start out first, and this is broccoli cheese condensed soup. So we'll put that in here. It's kind of cheating a little bit, but obviously it has a little extra broccoli and some flavor and some more nutrition. We remember that broccoli gives us a little bit more nutrition than other vegetables, and got a lot of minerals in there as well as vitamins, so that's a good start. So I'm going to set that can aside there. And if you noticed, I'm not going to do a lot of measuring here. I'm going to give you some measurements later when I give you the recipe. I hope you'll agree. Now that's sour cream. That ought to be just about 1/4 of a cup. We'll make sure that's 1/4 of a cup in there. And I'm going to start stirring that up a little bit so that we get this fully mixed. And then we're going to put our friendly mayo, which is going to give it a little extra kick. That's about 1/4 of a cup, maybe not quite, but again, I like mayonnaise because it's got some things in, such as eggs, that gives us a little extra protein, and there's some flavor in there. And a little flavor isn't going to hurt our casserole a bit. Now, the next step is I've got some coconut milk, and you'll find out that I use coconut milk more than I use regular milk or cream or those other things. One of the reasons is, I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's no cholesterol in here, and zero carbohydrate. There's not much fiber, which is okay, and there's only 1 gram of sugar. So if we use a little bit of that, I'm going to put in, again, whoops, got a punch hole too. Get that to squirt out of there. That's something I never went to physics class, but I did learn that. Okay, that ought to be about enough coconut milk. That liquefies it a little bit. And I'm going to keep stirring that in there. Don't want to put too much in. And then the next thing is we're going to put the rice, and of course the vegetables got to go down here too. So I'm going to crack a couple eggs and make us a binder so that we'll hold this thing together. I'll tell you what I think was a funny story. One time I got all excited and I forgot about the rice. I didn't put the rice in there, and I was wondering why the dish was kind of soupy when it got done, but it still tasted pretty good, I'll have to say. Had to eat it mostly with a spoon, but that was alright. So now I'm getting the binder in here next, and we've got our eggs pretty well all whisked up to drop them down in here, and that's going to hold everything together. I mentioned the other day I love spatulas. My daughter Denise buys me spatulas, and I got all kinds of colored spatulas. Sometimes I use 2 or 3 while I'm going through a recipe, but every time I use a spatula it reminds me of my daughter. And the other thing is that it seems to get everything out of the bowl that a lot of people don't get with wooden spoons and things. Now that's still kind of fluid, and I'm trying to mix it all together here to get the lumps out of it as much as I can. And now we're going to give it some body, and we're going to put some rice in there. And rice ought to start absorbing a little bit of moisture, and you can see that that's starting to get a little bit stiffer than it was. And the next step is I'm going to walk over there and grab some vegetables. So I think we'll start dumping them in here. They're about ready. I'm going to turn the camera off just a jiffy while I check them out, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, now we got our onions all ready to go. So I'm going to dump them in just a jiffy. I got to find me a spatula. I got a lot of spatulas out here. Oh, there was one. Let's see. Let's put those onions and garlic in there. That gives it a nice flavor. A little depth to the taste. And I'm going to stir that in there a little bit. You noticed I did clean my dishes up a little tiny bit. Alright, now we're ready. I've got most everything in here. Here's something I didn't tell you about earlier, and that's Scotch Bonnet. I like hot stuff. I don't know if you do or not, but I decided I don't know how many people are going to eat that other than me. I'm just going to put several drops. This is a gift for my other daughter, Candy. She buys me hot stuff quite often. Both my daughters and my grandchildren, all of them, buy me stuff for the kitchen because they know I like to cook and I like to eat. So we got that in there. And the next step is I'm going to step across the kitchen again, and I'm going to get the vegetables to put in. I guess that's one of our key ingredients. So we're going to do that in a jiffy here. I got to get my little strainer and try and strain these down in here. Now the reason I'm straining is because if you remember, I put bullion down in here, and it may be a little extra flavor if we need it. That's also got the juice of our vegetables. So we're going to pop that down there. That's a little bit tepid, but we're getting it all out into the dish, just all but this little guy. We'll put him in there too and see if we got all of them. There's a little carrot hanging on there. Got to get it all in. Start stirring it up. Now we might have a little bit more than we need, but that's okay. I've done that a few times too. I like abundance. And we're going to put this in a casserole. You're going to see that a little bit later. I've got these here. I'm not going to tell you what these are for till the end. You'll see the very end what those are all about. Now, I told you I had some cheese here. This is the cheese that I got across the street. This is going to kind of help tie it all together too. This is kind of a mozzarella cheese. So as you know, when you put that in there and heat it up with something, it melts and it really carries flavors very well. So we're getting that in there. And then another thing we're going to do, and we're going to have a chat about cellulose. I know a lot of people are against cellulose, but I found out it's pretty good for you. So I'm going over here and I'm getting this cellulose along with some cheese. And I'm telling you that because I know a lot of people on YouTube don't seem to like cheese that's pre-shredded, and I can understand that. I'm putting a cup in here to start with, In fact, we'll put a heaper in there. I like plenty of cheese. I'm sure you do too. And I'm going to stir that, and of course that is really going to be the glue that's going to keep us together and give it some flavor and some extra protein. So we'll see how that works for you. But like I say, if you go to Google, you'll find out, like I did, that cellulose is not digested by humans. So the point is, it's a good fiber. It goes through the system, and it does help the digestive system. So that tiny bit of cellulose on there may be more good than bad. The other thing, it also helps maintain more stable blood sugar. So again, I know there's diabetics watching this, and I've had some good friends that had diabetes, and they're very careful of eating. And when I picked something for them, I was always careful of what I put in there, and I know that cellulose is going to be good for anybody. So I'm going to set that aside. Now I've got some cheese I'm going to grate soon, so we'll do that. We'll see that I do both. I use pre-grated cheese and I use grated cheese. Now we got it all together. There's our mixture. The next step is I'm going to put it in a casserole, then we're going to bake it and see how it looks to you after it's all finished. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, now you see that we've got this nice casserole dish all ready for us to put our product in. What I'm going to do, if you remember, I put some bullion in there, and it's also got a little bit of the juices that came off the vegetables as we steamed them. So this is going to add some extra flavor. I think that's a decent consistency there. And I'll mix that in here before I pop that in, and hope that it doesn't make it too loose, but I think we've got enough eggs and cheese in there to give it a pretty good solid formation. So let's put some in and see what happens here. We're going to put that down. I think I told you I greased that with coconut oil. Well, that's just about going to take it all. So we've got enough of that in there now. Yeah, that's going to take the whole thing. Well, that's wonderful. I know, as I said before, I remember one time I made this and somehow I got too much in. I haven't changed the recipe much that I can remember. I kind of tinker with recipes quite a bit. In fact, as you noticed, I haven't been using one. I write stuff down occasionally. Now, there's that part. Now, the next step is, I told you we're going to use goldfish, so I got to get me some scissors, if you'll allow me to step away just a jiffy here. And we get the goldfish ready. And I'm just going to try and crush them up a little bit so that we're making not quite cracker crumbs, but we got goldfish crumbs down here, and that's going to help absorb some of the moisture, I know. And well, we're going pretty well here. I don't know, it didn't roll too well, but that's okay. We want it kind of chunky, don't we? I didn't really give you a good front shot of crushing these goldfish up, and I realize a lot of people know how to do this anyway, but for the one person that doesn't, we just want to see what you're doing. All I showed you before was mostly my back and the finished product. I'm just crunching these things up a little bit with a rolling pin. I'm using goldfish this time. One of the reasons is it happens to have a little bit of cheddar cheese in it. It has some garlic, has some onion powder, some other things. A lot of chemicals in here some people might not like, but the point is they taste a little different. I've used oyster crackers. I've used Ritz crackers. I don't like the salty sodium crackers very well for this dish, but this is going to give us a little bit of flavor along with some crunch on the top, and it also helps absorb some of the liquids that are in there, so that when we take it out of the dish it doesn't fall out, and we don't need to put it in a bowl. We can put it on a plate. So that's how we do it. Simple rolling pin, goldfish, crumbs. We'll take you to the next step. Okay, we're back recording again. I just know that moved a little bit. I didn't want to lose something. I didn't want to have to do this thing all over. Not that I don't enjoy doing it, but I got other things to do. I got some more things coming up that you might enjoy. I hope you do, because if you keep coming back and like this and share it with your friends, that'd be wonderful. More people that see it, the more people see it. Now, there's our cracker crumbs. Now the next step is we'll get this little device out here and we'll put some more fresh ground cheese on. This is a combination of Pecorino and Romano. That's a good Italian cheese. I know some Italian people that love cheese, and we're going to make some Italian dishes one of these days. I like pizza. I like a lot of Italian dishes. I have hung around Italian restaurants a bit of my life, and I believe that that's one of my favorite cultures. Not that others aren't, because we're going to do some Thai food, some Chinese food. We'll have all kinds, even American food. I like that. So I think that looks pretty nice. Now, I told you I was going to save these for later, and we're going to have 6 servings here. So we'll put one on each one to kind of mark the serving. I had a grandson staying with me for a while, and he liked this. This was one of his favorite dishes, I guess, because every time we fixed it, I got 1 or 2 servings, and he had the rest, so he must have liked it okay. So that's it. Now the next step is, if I haven't forgotten anything, we're going to put this in the oven later. I'm going to let it set up a bit, so I'm reaching over here to get our lid. Set the lid down and go clean up. You notice I got my kitchen pretty well cleaned up there, but I got to get these bowls out of the way and heat up the oven. I'm going to put it in for later, because I have somebody that might come over and want one of these after a bit, and I wish you could try it. And if you do, I want you to tell me how you feel about it. If you're going to make any adjustments, that would be great. But I think if you do it just exactly the way we do it this time, you're going to find out that this is pretty good eating. So I want to thank you for watching. I do appreciate you being here. And you're going to get to see it after it comes out of the oven. I will put it in there, and I'll bake it at 375 for about 35 minutes. And then I'll let it cool, and then we'll have a plating and let you see how to eat it. All right? So enjoy your wait and come back later. Thanks again. Bye. Okay, I'm at the oven, and it's about time to take it out. You can see that we really did bake it. I'm pulling it out of here. I'm going to set it down on top of the stove for a few minutes, and then I'll move it over to a cooling rack. I'll shut this off now so that I don't forget it. I do want to show you something here. I showed you my Scotch Bonnet, and if you take a look up there, you're going to see where I keep my hot spices. I like hot spices, as I told you. And again, my daughters seem to buy me hot spices. They know what I like. That's where I keep them. I've got a small condo kitchen, so I don't have a lot of room for things, and I found that it's a good place to put it up there on top of the oven. Now, what we're going to do next is let this cool. If you remember, you saw the dish at the very beginning on the plate, so you've already seen it, what it looks like. I'm going to cool it now so that it sets up well and it comes out, and then you're going to get a chance to see what it looks like. So I sure have enjoyed having you. I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you'll come back. Hope you'll send this to some of your friends. Let them enjoy it if you did. If you've got any suggestions, questions, or comments, you can find a place to put them online there. So goodbye for now. I do appreciate you. So you saw it at the beginning, and here it is again at the end. And I'll see you the next meal we fix together. Thanks one more time. Bye now.